Well, hello. Let's take a nice breath in. Big sigh. Let the breathing come back to normal. Well, hello. This is Drake, and this is Touching the Edge, and this is an opportunity for us to do that, to touch the edge. This is day 15 of our 40-day practice, and again, I just want to encourage you to continue to build a place of safety within yourself, and it's actually not building it, it's actually uncovering it. So I'm asking you to uncover it and be in realization that we can use the election as a means to help us become more who we want to be rather than less. It's what I call alchemy, right? The Alchemist. By the way, the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho is a really wonderful novel. It's a great thing to be introducing into your studies right now. But I'm not talking about just in terms of that. I'm talking about alchemy in terms of its sort of wider breadth. You know, alchemy throughout the ages, as above, so below, and equally too, as below, so above. Alchemy, in my mind, as it relates to fractals, everything being an image of everything else. We are one. And so to me, alchemy is really about transformation. The original alchemists were looking at this idea of changing lead into gold. How can we transform something that does not have value into another element that has tremendous value? This is why I'm suggesting that this time is happening for us rather than to us. It's an opportunity for you to transform yourself into your best self. And understanding that your best self is not a destination, but a continuum. It's going in a certain direction, going in the direction of what your deepest and truest values are. So I'm asking you to be aware. Are you diverging? Are you becoming less yourself? Are you really, truly less committed to those values that you once said you were committed to? If you are a Christian, are you less committed to forgiveness and to the teachings of Jesus? If you are a Buddhist, are you less committed to letting go of a preconceived notion? You know, whatever the faith that you might pursue, if you're any particular faith whatsoever, or even if you don't even consider yourself having a faith, are you living by your code of behavior, or are we lying to ourselves? This, to me, is part of transformation. Part of the element of transformation that we want to be aware of, excuse me, is the transformation of seeing people behave in a way that we don't want to be like. We don't want to behave in this way. To me, this is a time for you to come closer to who you want to be. My values are kindness, compassion, joy, and positive indifference. And over this next week, we'll go over those values in particular. So I'm asking you to be aware of what your values are. I don't think that your value is to be judgmental at its deepest core. At least, that's my perception, that's not really any of our deepest values. So I just want to encourage you to use a lot of the different skills that we develop together right now, today, tomorrow, and beyond. So very first is we have to be focusing, calming, and grounding. Write down those lists of 10 state changers, 10 soothing activities, and work your way down the list. You know, having elements, for instance, like magnesium oil that you rub on your feet, elements that don't directly impact you in terms of trying to change your point of view, that can kind of work on calming us through the nervous system rather than what we focus on. Using elements, for instance, like manifestation practice. Understand that if you really truly want to see what you would like to come about, you have to make the goal the purpose and not the path, in the sense of it having to be the way that you want it to be. My point is that if you are dealing with someone who's more committed to separateness than you are to union, you will suddenly shift to a desire for separateness. You will see them as evil. So, to me, this is not the direction that we want to go in. I would suggest a positive manifestation. Excuse me. So if you are feeling bad today, negative today, it's understandable. There's a lot of negative energy going around. But it's our duty to work to transform that, and we can do it by working to transform ourselves. So if you're feeling really crappy, understand that your emotions and the events are not one and the same thing, even though they seem completely connected. They're actually not. You have control over your emotions. Your emotions are not here for you to serve. They are here to serve you. And so part of how we begin to shift our emotions is to understand what we are focusing on. Subliminally, if you're feeling really bad, you can be sure that you're asking yourself questions that lead your brain to find negative answers. So let's use positive manifestation. Use elements like the gratitude game. Ask yourself 4 elements that you're grateful for, small or large. Let's do it right now. I'm so grateful that you're joining me today. I'm so grateful for that. I'm really grateful that I am using this time to make me more who I want to be rather than less. Don't get me wrong, I have a lot of stuff that I need to work out, just like all of us do. I'm really grateful because I have a resilient faith that is not an accident. I work with it every single day. And I'm also very grateful because I know that we are going to find our way through the thicket of this challenge. It doesn't mean it'll happen immediately, but infinite patience brings about immediate results. What are you grateful for? 4 elements you're grateful for. Pause it for just a moment and say it out loud. What are you grateful for? Remember, large or small. And as you go through your day, play the gratitude game in different situations. It's a means of firewalling your consciousness and firewalling the consciousness of those around you. We can also use Napoleon Hill's 7 positive emotions. Now, I adapt these somewhat, but I really think that they are really powerful elements, and so I want to bring them up. So the first that he talks about is desire, having a burning desire. What do you have a burning desire for? I have a burning desire to see us shift and to see each of us, as many of us as possible. It doesn't really matter to me how much influence I have. If I can just have the influence with one person to get them to realize that they are truly important, not just right now, but to the very end of their life. This is my perception. What do you have a strong desire for? So the second one of the positive emotions is faith. Now I'm suggesting, he just lists them. I'm suggesting that you frame them in the form of a question. What does faith mean to you? And, I'm actually talking about spiritual faith, but maybe it's not a spiritual faith for you. But what does faith mean to you? I have faith that there is more than meets the eye. I have faith that we are here for a great purpose. Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning talked about the reason that so many people were not able to make it through the concentration camp is that it seemed futile. I'm suggesting that this is not futile. This is part of a flow that's going to bring us to our strength. That's my perception. What do you have faith in? How do you have faith? How does your faith apply right now? Who do you love? Who do you love? I love many people, but the first one who comes to my mind right now is my daughter. When she came to this world, it changed. I was working in violent jobs that were really a reflection of my childhood, and I let those go. I have really had a long-term challenge of dealing with social anxieties that people don't usually pick up because I'm gregarious, but I am willing to do elements like this. I would never have been willing to do this if it wasn't for my daughter and this time. So I love her. Who do you love? Why? How does it change you for the better? The next one of Napoleon Hill's positive emotions, he says, is sex. I amend it to creative energy. Sex is very specific. Yes, it's important, and yes, it's a big motivator for the entire human race. However, I'm talking about sex as it applies to sexual energy, which is actually not just in the physical act of intimacy. Sexual energy is in the creative energy. It's in art. It's in charisma. It's even in platonic friendship when you are attracted to someone in friendship, not because you want to have a physical intimacy with that person, but they inspire you in some way. So sexual energy, which I actually call creative energy, how are you creative? Where are you abundant within your creativity? Enthusiasm. I am extremely enthusiastic. I don't know if you picked it up. I'm extremely enthusiastic because I know that we can change. I've had it happen in my life. I've lived in a situation where I was terrified and left there and still maintained the panic attacks, I don't even call them panic, they were terror attacks. Once I learned to shift those, it gave me a great confidence in relationship to my emotions. I've had other really challenging states of emotions that have shifted, and so I have faith that I can improve. I have an enthusiasm for that. By the way, in creative energy, I didn't mention my own relationship to creative energy. I'm extremely creative. I'm doing this all the time. I'm always on it, or almost consistently on it. If you talk to me anywhere, I'm talking about what do you think the meaning of life is, and expressing to the best of my ability what my perception is. I'm creative because I also know that what I own is perception and not reality, so there's space. I want to have other people speak their truth. Romance. This is not of course, we all would like romance, and we all grew up in the world culture wanting romance, wanting to fall in love one day. But I'm not talking about the romance of falling in love with someone else. I'm talking about the romance of being you. I remember when I left my former job, I worked in mental health for almost 20 years in a locked mental health unit. And just as I was leaving there, I was telling someone about about what I was going to be doing, and they told me that there was no way it was going to work. And I did it anyway. I remember the first time I opened a book on meditation practice. It was The Way of Zen by Alan Watts. And I had been taught vividly about hell, and I was afraid, and I was living in this very fearful situation. I opened it anyway. So I am in contact with the romance. My favorite character in literature is Don Quixote. The impossible dream. That's my romance. The romance of following my path wherever it will lead, because my path is my value system. What do you like about yourself? What makes you a dork? What do you love about yourself? And the last one is hope. And I wanted to end on hope because I have hope for us. I have hope for us as a country. I have hope for us here in the Twin Cities, and I have hope for us as an entire world. We can transition. The Lotus Sutra says that all things are empty, like soap bubbles, meaning that they can shift that quickly. It can get better, it can get worse. But we can help it and support it in becoming better by being in contact with hope. Hope has to come first. So, in this election, I'm asking you, up until the election, to, regardless of what you see other people doing, transform that energy. Don't try to run on judgment and hatred. Even if you are right, you are going to be wrong. I'm going to ring the bell. Listen carefully. I know that I'm sort of rough-hewn. I know that, I stammer and do different things. But I'm here with a thirsting heart to support. And I know that you have that thirsting heart as well. I would ask you to be aware that the stillness that is in my heart is the same stillness that is in your heart. I would ask you to be aware that in order for us to get through this time, we have to surrender to it. In order to improve it, we have to accept it as it is. Speaking songs of wisdom, let it be. I didn't write that. I bring my hands into prayer position and I bow to you, my friend. Don't give up, no matter what. Namaste.